Hi, Miss Tyne here with your math lesson for today. For today's math lesson, it's going to be a little different because you can actually see me and you usually just see my computer. So today, we're going to be pretending that we're some hungry ants on the way to a picnic to find some delicious treats. Unlike our ants from the story, 100 Hungry Ants, we're actually going to get some treats today. They're paper, so they're not real. But we do get to decide how we could break up our treats into equal pieces so that each ant can get the same amount. So let's go ahead and get started with our lesson. All right, so we will have a couple different groups of ants. So in our first group of ants, we're going to have 2 ants in this group up here. And then in our second group, we'll have 3 ants. And in our third group, we'll have 4 ants. But let's just look right up here at our group of 2 ants. And I want to think about how I can take this tasty paper granola bar right here and how I can break it up or divide it up into 2 equal pieces so each of my ants can have the same amount of granola bar. Now, we are pretty familiar with breaking things in half. We talked about that yesterday with our 100s piece, breaking it each into 50. And we know that if we want to break $1 in half, we break it into 50 cents. So each side is even. So we're going to take this paper, and if we just fold it right in half, I know that this side of the paper is going to be the same size as this side of the paper. And then I can just cut my paper right in half. Put them on top of each other, and I can see that they're exactly the same. It's easier for me to see that they're the same, but they're the same. So I know now that I have 2 parts of 1 granola bar. So I have 1 half here, and I have 1 half here. Now that's a good way to break my granola bar in half, so both of these hungry ants can have the same amount. But what if I have 3 hungry ants that want the same amount of granola bar? Now I have another granola bar. It's exactly the same as my first granola bar, but now I have to break it up into 3 pieces. Well, I already know that if I break it in half, I'll have one of my ants that can't have any granola bar. So I have to think about how I can take my granola bar and break it into 3 even pieces. So I want you to think for a moment. What would you do to break up this granola bar? Now, we could think about what we just did with the other granola bar and how we could break this up and kind of fold it into 3 even pieces. So I can kind of look at my paper and I can see that, if I fold right here and then maybe fold over here, it kind of has this shape in the middle. That looks like it might be 3 even pieces. So I'm going to fold it and I'm going to see if I unfold it. Those look pretty even to me. So I'm going to cut them just to check. So now I have my folds. I'm going to cut my paper. Cut right on my line here and on my other line right here. And just like before, I'm going to put my pieces of paper on top of each other and make sure that they're the same size. Now they all look just about, they're not perfect, but they're just about the same size. So each of my 3 ants in this group will get the same amount of granola bar. Now in this group, they're not getting 1/2 because we didn't cut the granola bar in half. We cut it into 3 pieces. So this is still 1 piece, but now instead of having 2 pieces total, I have 3 pieces total. So this is 1/3. Same with this piece, 1/3, or 1 of 3. And this last piece is 1 of 3. So that's how I can break up a granola bar into 3 equal pieces. And now I have another group of ants down here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 ants in this group. And you guessed it, they want to break up a granola bar to each have the same amount too. So, how could I break up this granola bar so each of my 4 ants have the same amount of granola bar? Now you might be thinking that just like my other pieces, I can kind of fold this paper and see how many pieces, even pieces, I can get. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fold it right in half. And here's why. Because I know that if you put 2 plus 2 together, you get 4. So I know that if I break it in half once, because I know my numbers really well, to get 2 pieces, that I can fold it or break it in half again to get 2 more pieces. I can cut my halves in half. And I'm going to unfold it, and I'm going to see that I folded 4 of the same size pieces. And just to double check, I'm going to cut them out now. So I'll cut them out just like I did with the others. And I'll double check to make sure that all 4 pieces are the same size. Stack them up. And they're not perfect, but that's okay. But I can see that they're all the same size. And now these pieces, well, they're not going to be half because I don't have just 2 pieces. And they're not going to be a third because I don't have just 3 pieces. These pieces are all going to be 1 of 4, or 1/4, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 total pieces of granola bar. So I'm going to write 1/4. I know it's hard to see, but 1/4 onto all of my 4 pieces. And I know that if I pushed all of these granola bars back together, that all 3 of my granola bars would be the same size. What's different is how many pieces I've cut my granola bars into. I cut my first granola bar into 2 pieces. I cut my second granola bar into 3 pieces. And I cut my third granola bar into 4 pieces. So all of my ants in each group will get the same amount of granola bars. Now, your activity for the rest of this lesson is to tell me in Seesaw 2 things that you notice about how we split up our granola bars. Think about how big the granola bars are. Think about how many ants are in each group. Think about the numbers you see on the paper. And you're going to have an option to tell me 2 or 3 things that you notice about this, these granola bars that we split up. So that's your job today in Seesaw. I'm excited to see what you notice.